Welcome to Hidden True Crime. If you are new to our channel, hit subscribe and notifications and join with us as we delve into the darkest recesses of the human mind and uncover the hidden motives of unfathomable crimes. Now, on February 25th, 2020, Sarah Boone called 911 reporting that her boyfriend, George Torres Jr., was dead. Sarah explained to the dispatcher that the night before she and George had shared a bottle of wine and decided to play hide and seek. She claimed they thought it would be funny for George to climb into a suitcase and she zipped it up shut while they both laughed. Sarah said she later went upstairs, accidentally fell asleep, and when she woke up, she found George still inside the suitcase, unresponsive. The next day, Sarah was interviewed by police, and this interrogation footage went viral, not only because of the shocking nature of the case, but also because Sarah was confronted by detectives with damning evidence that completely contradicted her original story of this lighthearted game of hide and seek. Sarah Boone was charged with second-degree murder. And since her arrest in 2020, get this, Sarah has had eight defense attorneys over the last 4 years. So 7 of them were appointed by the court. And why in the world would someone need to have so many defense attorneys in just 4 years? So according to Fox 35 Orlando, and I'm going to read this, quote, most of those attorneys eventually asked the judge to be withdrawn from the case due to irreconcilable differences with Boone over her defense. Some exited due to conflicts of interest. Boone has also accused her various lawyers of not working with her, not being available, and not having certain documents or evidence, or of lying to her, end quote. Most of Sarah's complaints about her previous attorneys and even the original judge presiding over the case were expressed in handwritten letters that Sarah wrote to the judge, which were then made part of her case file. And because they were part of her case file, these letters were made public in accordance with Florida law. And now, because her attorney turnover rate is so high, a judge ruled in July of 2024 that she forfeited her right to court-appointed attorneys and that she would have to represent herself. That was until Sarah came out with a new letter, quote, letter to the judge. Knowing that all of her letters were being made public, Sarah decided to create a handwritten flyer looking for an attorney, and it seems to have actually worked. She is currently represented by James Owens. Sarah Boone's trial was supposed to begin on October 7th. However, because of Hurricane Milton in Florida, the trial was delayed 1 week. Interestingly, on the very same day her trial was set to begin, Sarah was offered a plea deal to plead guilty to manslaughter and serve 15 years. Now, this is a much better deal than her current second-degree murder charges. However, she rejected the plea. Her trial is currently underway, and at the time of this recording, it is October 14th, 2024. Jury selection is happening right now. And so with that, let's get into this interrogation footage, which, by the way, Dr. John, my co-host, criminal psychologist, Dr. John Matthias, he has not seen this video. And so this is a truly raw reaction of Dr. John watching this interrogation for the very first time. And because this interrogation is 2 hours long, for the purposes of this video, we are going to edit it down to the most relevant portions. Take a listen. All right. Welcome, John. Hope you have
welcome. Yeah, I do.
Hope you have a drink ready.
I do. Yeah, it looks like it's a long video.
Here we go.
So this morning we went to his autopsy, and we were informed of some injuries that he has by the doctor. So so he's got scratch marks to his back.
I know what that's from.
Okay. And it's called a contusion. Do you know what a contusion is? So like basically you're getting hit and then you get a mark from it. You'll get bruising. Like someone hit you or something like that. It's called a contusion. So he had some injuries to his left shoulder. He had a cut near his lip. We could see his mouth was a little.
I haven't laid a hand on him.
Okay.
Also too, he fell off my son's bike.
Okay.
So I don't know, and he's notorious for running into the wall or the hall tree.
Okay.
So
Okay. What about the scratches? Because there's also sex.
Yes.
Okay. Because there's also like a scratch on like the back of his neck, like kind of like going, but it's like going straight across.
I have no idea what that's from.
And they're all recent. Like they occurred recently. It wasn't something that occurred post or that occurred a week ago or 2 days ago, 3 days ago. They definitely occurred, you know, the night leading up to when he was.
In all honesty, we have not gotten into it.
Okay.
That's why, like, the only thing I thought you guys were going to ask me about, which I was going to be honest with you anyway, are the scratch marks on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, I have no idea what it is.
So it's interesting that when she first asked about the injuries, she starts by saying where, right? Like she acts as if she doesn't know. And I think right away you see that she's somewhat defensive and she's going to deny a lot. You can tell right away she's going to deny a lot of accusations or allegations. It's interesting though that she has an out here that she's not taking, I think, which is that this guy's in a suitcase for hours. You know, it's not hard to imagine that you could get a contusion to your shoulder or you could get injuries trying to fight your way out of a suitcase. Although clearly the detective is implying that there was some type of altercation or fight the evening before, probably before he was put in the suitcase. So she's going for premeditation, I assume. But
And I don't even know if she was implying that, but Sarah certainly decided she was implying that with her defensiveness right out of the gate. She was simply saying, by the way, he had these injuries, and she sure jumped to, oh, she's accusing me of doing something to him by being so defensive. I see, and I don't know what she was implying, but yeah, I definitely jumped out of the gate very defensive.
To me, it seems like some type of fight or altercation in which she's denying. She's saying, well, we actually, you know, she's funny because she said, well, this was one time we actually didn't fight, right? Like we were good yesterday, or we were good on that day, but you know, all the other days we weren't. So, I mean, it's interesting to see her response because given the circumstances, there's other responses, I think, that could have been more beneficial to her, but she's not thinking about those, right?
I've had my son over the house too, so.
Well, your son was there when? When was he last there?
Oh, gosh.
My understanding he was there like last Tuesday?
I don't know if it was Tuesday, but yes, he was there last week, so.
Well, we're talking about Sunday. Yeah. We're just talking about what occurred Sunday. Because like I said, the injuries they occurred within that time period.
So you're talking about day before yesterday?
Sunday leading into Monday. You called us yesterday at 1, but the incident, you guys were painting and stuff the night prior.
Correct.
So we're talking about Sunday and then into Monday.
I'm thoroughly confused because we had a good time sitting on the back porch, having wine and smoking a couple of cigarettes, and then decided to go inside and literally paint, do puzzles, and play and listen to music. That's why nobody got out of sorts. This is what's mind-blowing to me. Like, I have no clue. Nobody laid a hand on anybody.
He also had, like on the left side of his forehead, he had basically bruising, and on like his head and skull.
I have no idea.
As if something hit him.
I
considered
not
force
touched him.
trauma.
I have not touched him. I have not touched him.
How would you get those injuries?
Tell me and we'll both know. I have not touched him.
Yesterday.
Obviously, this pattern of defensiveness continues here. But ironically, they can probably figure out, or they can at least make some assumptions about what caused the injuries. In other words, whether it was a hand or whether it was something else like a bat or a broomstick or something, who knows, right? Like, but they can make some projections about that. So
she also seems just so shocked that she's here. I'm like I can't, like she can't believe this is happening. I'm like, your boyfriend was found dead in a suitcase. This anyway. Yeah.
But I mean, you know, when somebody comes back with "tell me," and we'll both know, you know, you're probably in for a lengthy interrogation at that point.
Yeah. Here we go. Exactly.
Photographs of your overall body, and they did the buccal swabs. Did they go under your fingernails?
No,
Okay. Are you willing to let us
absolutely.
swab underneath your fingernails?
Go for it.
Okay.
I have no idea, and I don't want to seem out of sorts, but I have no idea. We had a good day.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good day. We've had good days lately, even considering everything that's going on with our jobs and life in general and ex-wives and everything. It's been good. Like, I don't even know where this is coming from.
I mean, just think about the implications of that for a minute. I mean, she's saying it's a good day because they didn't fight and nobody was injured, which apparently seems to be the norm. But to say she knows what happened, to say it was a good day and then he died that night, like it's insensitive, right? I mean, she doesn't even acknowledge the fact that her boyfriend was murdered. He suffered and she knows he's deceased, and there's no empathy. There's no acknowledgement of that. I mean, it was a good day. No, it wasn't. It was a horrible day. Your significant other is deceased and suffered, and right. I mean, anyway.
I think what, a month ago, where you got the injury, right? You said that was a
I'll
month
say
ago.
a few weeks, give or take, yeah.
A few weeks. That was the last like physical altercation between the two of you. You said a month ago he hit you with a curtain rod.
Yeah, with a curtain rod. That's why I can't believe you guys didn't take that either.
Oh.
Like, we've been good. I don't know if, like, it's since the last time he got out of jail. Like, we've been good, and he's been having his classes and seeing his probation officer, who's amazing. So.
What do you mean by good? What's your definition of good?
The probation officer?
Oh, no, you said you guys have been good. What's your definition?
I've been good. I don't think you all understand. He comes at me all the time. He comes at me. So it's either I flee or try to go upstairs and go to sleep. That's usually what it is. And I don't know if you talked to Brian about any of that, but most of the time when I flee, I go over there. So.
Right, but you're saying that you guys have been good, and when I asked you yesterday, the last incident that you could remember was the curtain rod incident, which you said was a month ago, so.
Give or take.
Right, so what do you mean by he comes after you? Like,
he gets belligerently drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you all have looked through my phone yet and seen any of the pictures and the videos that I have taken.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, I started documenting everything.
Okay.
So you all will see in my pictures, bloody fingers, split foreheads, he split my nose. I've got this.
Right.
I don't know if Brian told you about it, where I had to have I had one really bad surgery, but then it got really, 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 really bad, where I had to go like 4 or 5 more times afterwards for them to tend to it, from him poking me in the back of the leg.
Right.
So it's.
Then why are you still with him?
Everybody asks me that. When I tell you guys this, I really love him, like I do, and I feel like I can help him. Like, I feel like I could help him, which I did, because he came a really long way from where he was in Philadelphia to moving back to here and to dealing with everything else that he's been dealing with. I've really helped him. I've bailed him out of jail, 3 times. I've gone to every single hearing and every single arraignment, everything that I did for him. Gone to see all his public defenders, go to the state. I've gone to the state. I did everything for him because I'm trying to help him, because I had hope in him. And he was trying. He was really trying. He starts to think about.
Yeah, dude. Man, I have things.
Yeah. So in a way, it's the detective, the male detective, asking that is unfair, because women in abusive relationships have their reasons for staying. It's interesting in this case that she points out that she essentially sees him as a project, right? She sees herself as a bit of a martyr and someone who's going to rescue him and transform him. And I think, by the way, that's always a red flag in a relationship.
Yeah.
When you want someone to change, if you're an adult and an adult, by these days adult, I mean, like, I don't know, over 22 maybe. When you want someone to change for you to improve the relationship or to create this ideal relationship, that's a problem, because she's acknowledging that there's already these deficits going into the relationship, and she's acknowledging that the relationship isn't working unless he's someone that she wants him to be. So you see this element of control here already. She wants to control this relationship. She wants to control him. She wants him to be something he may not be. She acknowledges he has a criminal history. She acknowledges he has a problem with the law, that he's had problems in the past. And she apparently wants to rescue him and transform him and make him into something that she desires rather than something that he is or might be, right? Or something that he wants to be.
That was exactly
so-
what I noticed too the first time I watched it. Was I love him because I do all these things for him. Like it's her project.
And as someone who's worked with a lot of couples over the years, I can tell you this is a massive red flag, and very rarely do these relationships work, because you essentially have someone imposing their values and beliefs on the relationship with someone who doesn't really necessarily abide by those beliefs or agree with them. And so you're always going to get this tension between who someone is and who the other person wants that person to be.
In interrogation videos, we often note how, would be, or the murderer, the murderer in question is being interrogated, and they slip by maybe stating somebody in past tense, like they were a great person if they don't know they're dead. I'm like, oh, what do they know?
Right.
I found it really interesting that she knows that her boyfriend is dead. And she actually talks about him in present tense. She's saying, he's so great. He is making changes. We have been doing so well. And this entire thing where she's starting to cry, she's actually talking about him like he's like in this sort of current state. What's that about?
I think there's definitely some level of denial about what happened and her role in it. So in the body cam footage, for example, she keeps wanting to know what the detectives think and what their take on it, what their theory of the crime is at that early stage. And
right, because you've seen this body cam footage, and you haven't seen this interrogation, but you saw the body cam footage, and so you're seeing that. So go ahead.
Well, I a part of it is I think she just can't believe that she's implicated in this. So it makes sense she's talking about this in the present tense, because I don't think she's fully grasped the magnitude of what happened and that she's had a role in it.
But what were you saying about the body cam footage? Sorry. So you said there was something in the body cam footage.
No, it's the same presentation, that she can't grasp that she's being implicated in a potential murder. It just doesn't register with her.
Okay. So it's continuing the next day into this interrogation.
Like I could help him, which I did, because he came a really long way from where he was in Philadelphia to moving back to here and to dealing with everything else that he's been dealing with. Mm-hmm. I've really helped him. I've bailed him out of jail, 3 times. I've gone to every single hearing and every single arraignment, everything that I did for him.
It's all about her.
Gone to see all his public defenders.
What
go
she's
to the
done for
state.
him.
I've gone to the state. I did everything for him because I'm trying to help him, because I had hope in him. And he was
Maybe
trying.
he doesn't want her help.
He was trying.
Yeah.
And then he starts to think about things, and I think he gets overwhelmed, and then it's like,
that wouldn't
next thing you
occur to
know,
her.
he's drinking. So it's like, oh man, I know where this is going to go. So I'm going to go upstairs and read a book, or I'm going to go for a bike ride, or I'm going to do something else. Where I don't want to drink. I don't want to drink. The occasional wine, whatever, or if it's a weekend, that's when you have a good time. You don't have to wake up the next day. I have to wake up the next day and do things. I have to tend to Lucas. I have to take him to school. I have all this stuff to do. He doesn't know how to,
again, current,
I guess, maintain himself, where I can do 50 things at once and still know the 50 things more prior that I need to get done. He can't process like that. He didn't process like that. So he would literally, not literally, but have smoke coming out of his ears. So the next thing you know, he doesn't want to deal with it. I'm going to go get something to drink. So the majority of the time I would hang out outside or do something else because I don't want to drink. And every time, his job broke his heart. And it made me sad because he had so much pride in his job. And the store that he took care of so much totally went downhill.
Mm-hmm.
And that broke his heart because he had put so much work and effort into fixing it up. And his manager was awful and basically gave up on all of the employees. So I think that had a huge bearing on why he would drink so much. His ex-wife is bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
She was all over him all the time. Send me money, send me money, send me money. How can I send you money when I don't have a job? And he's still trying to take care of me and Lucas by paying a bill here or there, getting some groceries. So he always had something on his mind, which is why, again, I got the puzzles and the paint to try to get him off of it so we don't have a drink, or he doesn't have a drink. So when you all see my phone, you can see all of the damage he has done to me and the videos of him smashing my television because he's belligerently drunk.
So one interesting thing too is she talks about his job and like she's micromanaging every element of his life.
Yes.
You know, in many ways she's treating him like a child. And I mean, part of that, by the way, is I'm sure part of that is the fact that it sounds like he does act a bit childish. So I mean, addicts are notorious for kind of being regressed or infantile. But I think that frustrates her. You know, I think it's she wants him to be more grown up, and yet she wants him to be a child too. You see this conflict about, you know, he struggled at work. It sounds like I don't know if she intervened there, but it sounds like she wants to. She didn't go talk to his boss. She wants to talk to his boss, right? Like
I'm sure she has. Yeah.
She wants to micromanage every element of his life. Like he can't manage himself or his affairs. And so she has to do it. Right. And clearly this is someone, her boyfriend is someone with problems. Her boyfriend is probably someone who's fairly immature and childish, but she's not helping that.
No, micromanaging is my.
Yeah, she's not helping that. She's not giving him a lot of autonomy.
To say the least.
Right.
She's triggering every micromanaging boss I ever had right now.
Right.
Making me think of every micromanaging moment in my life with shudders.
And I try to help him. I try to calm him down.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, he just passes out.
Well, yesterday it made it sound like you guys were just drinking like a glass or two. Like, yeah, you obviously had the bottle, but you told me on recording like that you were not drunk. He was not drunk. You guys were having a good time.
I can't get drunk. Number one, I do not want to get drunk. I don't like being non-compos mentis, having my wits about myself. I don't like feeling out of control.
Sorry, I just have to pause it there. I don't like feeling out of control. It feels like
obviously. Obviously.
As you would say, that's a tell.
She detests feeling out of control, and yet she gets drunk all the time. So, I mean, again, so there's control is a defense mechanism. It's a way to try to suppress certain difficult emotions, let's say shame being one of those oftentimes. I mean, it's more than that, but control has to do with trying to manage our self-image and also trying to mitigate or reduce certain negative emotions. The problem is that my guess is with her, the problem is that she can't fully negate those emotions and they start cropping up, and that's when she drinks. So she doesn't, she doesn't want to, but she does because she can't control her emotions.
Not only does she not want to, she actually said she can't. I mean, that was a little bit pompous, I thought too. Sorry, you're the one I'm showing this video to, not me. So I need to lean back a little bit more and let you decide. But saying I can't get drunk was a little superior in my thought. Oh, really? You can't?
Mhm.
So,
I'm just saying you're making it sound like he's a raging alcoholic today, and yesterday I was kind of asking you those questions and you're like a little defensive, like, no, we're not alcoholics.
I'm not.
We are not, you know. But you guys were both sober on Sunday, to your knowledge, because when I said you went and passed out, you were like, no, I didn't pass out, I just fell asleep. So now it's kind of like, what is it? Were you guys drinking and it got out of hand and
no.
it got physical?
No.
Or is it?
Sunday was one of the better days that we have had in quite some time. He's dancing with my dog. You can see that too on the pictures, him loving the dog. He loves the dog and dancing around, having a good time, and just being happy.
If it's one of their better days, I'd hate to see a bad day.
Dude, I know. What the heck?
Like, it's a better day when you murder your boyfriend.
Right.
Yeah. What's a bad day look like?
You can't get over that extreme. It was a good day.
Good day. It's such a good day. And
He doesn't know. I can't. I mean, I can get like maybe 2-3 glasses of wine and I'll be fine. But I have to have my wits about myself because I don't know what to expect.
Well, let's talk about Sunday. What was Sunday? How were you, like, how many glasses of wine did you have? How many glasses of wine did he have? The bottle was gone. I mean, I don't know if you poured any out. Yes.
No, that was from previous.
You said that there was a half bottle left
yeah,
over.
about this much.
Mm-hmm. And then that you had well, I don't even know how the wine, how'd you guys get the wine for Sunday?
I'm guessing he went to Publix. Does he like leave the house and you stay home, or do you go to Publix? Like, cause sometimes I'll go with him.
Okay. Did you go with him Sunday to Publix?
So most of the time what happens is, because the convenience store where we get cigarettes is here, and then Publix literally is cattywampus to it.
Okay.
So what he'll do is he'll start, go by Publix, and then on the way back, catch the convenience store.
Okay.
So
is that what he did Sunday?
I'm guessing that's what he did, because the next thing I know, he's walking in with a bottle.
Okay.
So that's,
Okay.
it's him trying to be nice, so I don't have to go out and do it. Plus, there's stuff that are around the house that I had to take care of. So that's usually what will happen. Or I'm folding laundry and he'll go run out and do whatever.
Okay. So where were you guys at on drunkenness, not drunkenness on Sunday? You told us you weren't drunk.
No, I was not drunk.
Right.
I was not drunk. So with him, I don't know. I know when it's like, oh, okay, man, where I have told him, slow down. It's starting to catch up with you. Slow down. Slow down.
So it's interesting that by denying her drunkenness, in many ways, she's really hurting herself here.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
If you think about a drunk driver that gets behind the wheel and harms someone, or maybe even kills them, right? Part of the defense is going to involve the fact that they were drunk, and it doesn't mean they should have been driving, obviously, but it speaks to their state of mind at the time of the crime. In other words, it can be the difference between
manslaughter,
voluntary, there's different types of manslaughter: voluntary manslaughter or involuntary manslaughter. Voluntary manslaughter is when there's intent. Involuntary is when there's not. So typically, I mean, it depends on the state, but so if she's drunk and doesn't remember any of it, I mean, that doesn't mean there can't be intent, but it changes her defense dramatically. And by saying that she wasn't drunk, that she was completely conscious and aware, it really changes the equation here, I think. And it'll be interesting to see if that changes the equation at her trial as well.
Around the edges, and like, just, it makes me fractious listening to his music. So I kept asking
doesn't even like his music.
Just you and me talk. You and me will just be the ones that are talking, which was fine, because I mean, we were playing with the dog, whatever, and then it's like, okay, now let's do the painting. We just did the puzzle, took a break, now let's do this. Sure enough, sat down. We're sitting in there talking, laughing, talking about new movies. We're watching movie trailers while we're doing painting and all that other stuff. So it's still background noise to him, because I think that's what he's used to, is having background noise. Where me, I can sit in here all day with not a peep. But he always has to have some kind of background noise, which I didn't mind because the trailers were cool. And he was interested in showing them to me, getting excited about movies that were out or upcoming.
Okay.
So
On your laptop you're talking about?
Mhm.
Like, okay.
And I mean, and then it was.
But you said it was a good day, like, you guys didn't have any conversations about your relationship? You guys didn't go down, like, the rabbit hole, like, had too many to drink, and you guys start getting...
Nope. When I tell you this, it made me so happy that he actually listened to what I had to say with just, we'll get through it. This will be fine. It's just, it's a small hurdle that you and I together will get through, because...
I'm talking about the money, jobs,
Daughters,
stress,
yes.
nothing
No.
relationship-wise, though? Like, no issues, like, did you guys have a conversation about your relationship, or was it just about...
Just
like,
what's
distracted.
going on right now.
Got it.
I try to evoke it from him so he gets it off his chest, because I call him the volcano, where eventually he's going to erupt.
Right.
And what he has learned in his classes is to communicate,
Mhm.
which is a huge thing in a relationship,
Right.
where he has been practicing communication. So he actually talks to me about things.
No, she's a
and
relationship
unburdens
coach.
himself. Put it on me. I'll sit there and try and figure it out for you. Like, I have almost everything.
Mm-hmm.
Not a worry. Just tell me. Get it out of you.
Right.
But it was, when I tell you, I was so happy. Like, it was such a good day. I kid you not.
So when you refer to your significant other as a volcano, that's not a good sign. I mean,
No.
it's obviously really derogatory. The other thing that occurs to me is when she talks about all these coping mechanisms like puzzles and painting and watching movies. Does he even want to do any of that? Is this just stuff that she's like, here, we're going to do puzzles and we're going to do painting and it's going to be so fun and you're going to love it and it's going to solve all your problems, right? Like, part of the problem here is she wants to solve everything, right?
Yes,
she
she
wants,
does.
not only is she a micromanager, but she wants a solution to everything. And I think this is one of those situations where the solution is to listen. The solution is to be empathic. He's not communicating because she's not letting him communicate. I mean, it's true, I think, that he probably struggles with communication. He probably struggles to express his emotions verbally. I think those are all probably issues that are common to addiction. But the other side of that is she is not letting him, he doesn't feel comfortable, I think. He doesn't trust her enough to really communicate openly with her. There's not a culture there in that relationship where openness and vulnerability are allowed, I think. And so you see all this stuff, the puzzles, the paintings, like these are all like rituals that she's trying to throw at him or put in their lives to kind of mitigate or to deny the underlying issues, which are the fact that he can't be open, he can't be vulnerable, he can't communicate because he's afraid of her. But let me say too that his violence toward her is completely unacceptable. Like it never should get to that point. So I mean, I don't know how bad it was. It sounds like there's a lot of history of domestic violence. He was very physically abusive to her, and of course,
You're not minimizing that.
I don't want to minimize that. That's completely unacceptable, and I'm sure it creates fear on her part too. You know, but in raising this question, since we've all seen the suitcase incident, raising this question of, was this self-defense, right? Because he was so violent and there's this history of violence and domestic violence. There's nothing to indicate in those videos of him in the suitcase that there's any self-defense at all here, right? In terms of, at least in the moment, he's pretty defenseless in a suitcase. There's not a whole lot he can do. So she's not protecting her. She's not protecting herself in that moment.
Well, I thought it was, I mean, I have to point this out, that she just said it was such a good day because he really finally just really listened to me. And I'm like, Yeah, because he was in a suitcase. I mean, that was
Well,
I
not
know.
for the entire day, presume. I don't
Well,
know.
I don't know. It was weird. Like he really finally listened and heard what I had to say. I mean, anyway, yeah.
Nobody knew George better than I did. I say that I knew George better than himself. And I tried in every way, shape, and
So
form.
condescending.
Ask everyone.
Yeah.
I helped him.
Well,
I
when you
took care
say
of
you know
him.
someone better than themselves, that's a problem. It's really condescending. It's obviously controlling. In
Yeah.
theory, we know ourselves. We should. I mean, maybe some of us don't, but we should know ourselves better than anyone else. I mean, we should be open to feedback from other people about who we are and our behaviors and how people perceive us, and that's part of helping us understand who we are. But she's essentially saying that she knows what's better for him than he does.
Yeah.
I missed him a lot, and I didn't even sleep last night. I miss him a lot.
I mean, is there any chance it got to be too much for you and you couldn't handle taking care of him and
I never stopped.
Fair question.
I never stopped. That's what I'm here for. I never stopped. I'm here now because I'm still trying to help him.
She's
Yeah,
still trying to help him.
we just don't, I mean, it's unexplainable how he got these injuries and
I have no idea.
you were the only one with him.
100% right hand to God. I have no idea how he got them. Nobody touched anybody. Nobody touched anybody.
Okay.
None of that's true.
You had mentioned that.
None of that's true. She's in denial.
You think it's denial?
They're going to show that those injuries were caused by some type of altercation.
And again, she said, I'm still trying to help him. I haven't stopped. I'm still trying to
No,
help
I know.
again.
She's still trying to help him. He's deceased. How can you, right? Like, there's
I
a
know.
level of delusion here. Like, she's divorced from reality. What do you
Yeah.
mean you're still trying to help him? You're still trying to help him in what way? Like, to show that he did this to himself? Like, well, what? Okay.
That you would take photos, videos, kind of like a proof and just in general.
Yeah, I started documenting at one point, but that was way before, I think, the last time that he got arrested, where he was flying off the deep end. But then I had him bailed out. I got him out of jail.
Right.
But because he had violated the pretrial diversion, this time it's probation, so you don't have a choice in it. You have to go see your probation officer. You have to go to these classes. It's court ordered.
Mm-hmm.
Where it took him a while to get used to it and understand, they're not messing around. I even went down and met his probation officer, which I say she's wonderful. That's one of my questions too I need to talk to you about. Hugged me and said how much she knows that I take care of him. She called me personally.
That's important.
So of course she met his probation officer, just like she met his boss, right? Like, so now he has two probation officers. It's not, I should say this though, it's not atypical, mostly with minors, by the way, but to really lean on a parent or a legal guardian for supervision of someone. But I mean, mostly adolescents, by the way. But I guess if a PO feels like a spouse or significant other can be a positive force, then they'll lean on that person as well. But again, there's something very childish about that, like her treating him like a child. Like, I needed to go see the PO as his parent, right? Treating him like a teenager so that I could intervene too, right? We're both going to help him. We're both going to intervene and supervise him and monitor him because he's just like a child.
What I noticed about this part is that she starts with, I met his probation officer. She's wonderful, by the way, wonderful. And let me tell you why she's wonderful. She hugged me. She said she knows how much I've helped him and that she's so grateful that he has me. I'm like, she's wonderful. Why? Because she values me. I couldn't help but notice that.
Right. Well, I mean, the probation officer, I'm sure, is looking for any help she can get, right? I mean, she just doesn't expect the significant other to murder someone.
I was at work when he was working. 42-minute phone call. She and I just saying how grateful she is that George has me. And she knows how hard I'm working to help him, just as she is and just as the classes will. So once he started actually going on a regular basis to the probation officer and then to his substance abuse class and his, I don't know what BIP stands for, Matters Intervention Program, and actually listening to what it is everyone had to say, he changed. Like I could see a change in him, where before lashing out, he would think about it. And would always come home and show me his papers, and we would look over his papers together, where it's like, wow, you actually are learning this in class? And some of the stuff that they would show them, like videos, he would come home and be like, Sarah, I'm so sorry for what I've done to you. Because for a video that he watches to make him feel that way, where it's like, oh man, I have done her wrong. But he's changed. He changed.
And that's why you're still with him, even though he's done all these things to you. And
when I tell you I love him, I love him.
When you love somebody, you have limits.
Everybody tells me that. All my neighbors don't tell me that. The office, property manager.
At some point, somebody gets enough, then they have to do something to defend themselves.
I would just flee. And I don't know if you would like to see on my phone, or I think it's actually on a laptop. I actually, because, and you have to understand too, I have, like, prior to classes in PO, kicked him out. How many times? I had him arrested. How many times?
But you also went down and bailed him
I
out
know.
the next day.
I know.
What's on your laptop?
So just a couple of observations. She describes helping him as work, which is interesting. She doesn't see it as something that's natural or part of their relationship. She calls it work. She's also helping him with his homework. She calls it his papers from class, but it's essentially his homework or assignments they give him in his batterers intervention classes, which is interesting too, because again, getting back to this idea of how parental she is. She's doing his homework. She's helping him. She's working to help him. She's not helping him. She's doing it. She sees it as her duty, as her work. And when she says, I love him, I feel like she's saying, I love him as some version of myself. So you see, he's a reflection of her ego ideal. She's a reflection of, in a way, he's a reflection of her to some degree. And that would speak to your point about a little bit of this narcissism, about the PO is wonderful because the PO loves her, right? It's you have some version of that, I think, with her significant other. I think her loving him, the way she says that, I think, is essentially her loving some version of herself, some reflection of herself in him that she wants to create.
Oh, previously, I actually looked up how to file a restraining order.
Okay.
Because I would kick him out, his parents, because of them constantly having to take him back in, his bags of clothes, all his stuff. The last time, the father came out and irate and just not even, I don't even know if he knew Lucas was in the car, just opened the back of my car and just started throwing all his crap in, just throwing it. Like the car would jostle, he was throwing all his stuff. At that point, because I continually did it, not continually, I think I maybe did it 3 times, and he has nowhere else to go, they got fed up and said, nope, either you're staying there or you're staying here. But if you're staying here at their place, it's permanent. You're not going back over there anymore. So what happens is he pursues me. So I don't know if y'all know where Katie Way Trail is. Okay, so it's literally right there from our apartment. Would ride his bike to work, But before, he would leave extra early and come up to the wall, stand on top of his bike and poke his head over because he would know that I would be outside having my morning cigarette and cup of coffee. And I would also know too what time he would get off of work, where I would know, come getting off of work, he's gonna do the same thing. So it's not like I ever got like a break from him, where I told you all yesterday, or whenever it was, I started to feel that it was too much togetherness. And when you have too much togetherness, friction happens. So I'm gonna go ride my bike. I'm gonna go upstairs and read a book. But what does he say? Every waking moment he wants to be with me. So, and mind you, our townhome is either upstairs or downstairs. So it's like, if you would like to sit downstairs and watch a movie or play on the laptop, look up some jobs, you're more than welcome to. I'm just gonna be upstairs, maybe watching one of my shows or maybe reading a book. So, and then when that would happen, we really needed that. So what's for dinner? And then we would cook together and eat dinner and then crawl in the bed and watch a movie.
Are you talking about this is like recent? I don't, you kind of like lost me. Like what are you?
It was a little while ago. But
now you're talking about tension building up and that you need space. So have you been feeling that way lately or?
No.
Okay.
No.
This is interesting because again, there's a contradiction here. She, on the one hand, she wants to control every aspect of his life, and then she's surprised that he wants to be around her all the time. Like there's this dependency, and some of that dependency is created by her. I would argue that the other side of that is that there's probably a tremendous amount of dependency on his part. He does probably want someone to help him and rescue him, and there's probably a very childish quality to him too. But she plays into that. She accentuates that, and so, and you see it there that he can't be away from her. He has to follow her around like a puppy dog, right? Like, and then so there's the contradiction is she's saying I need space from him, I can't be around him all the time, and yet those are the conditions that she creates.
Right.
So you can't, if you want to control and micromanage and dominate every aspect of someone's life, expect them to be dependent upon you.
Well said.
You know what I mean? Like,
what else did you want?
Originally?
No, that's when we were like painting. So then it's like, okay, well, I don't want to paint anymore. Let's just, come on. Okay, you want to play hide and seek? What he does is, okay, tag, you're it. So it's like, okay, we know. Okay, take off.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we did.
And then you went upstairs and then he didn't come up and you came down and the suitcase was there originally because you guys were planning to do donations, so it was already there. Have you guys ever played you said you played hide and seek like probably 3 times in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
When you have played, have you ever zipped him up in a suitcase prior?
No.
Okay. So it was just kind of like that prop was there and it was there.
Yes.
And it was in play because.
Why do you say it like that though?
I would never do that.
You would never zip them up in a suitcase?
Well,
I mean, we were playing.
No, I know,
that
but
time,
I'm saying, I'm talking about hide and seek, which is a game, so.
The suitcase originally is in our closet, buried all the way to the back. If you, I know the CSI people saw our closet. Our closet needs to be cleaned out really bad. My son's clothes need to be cleaned out really bad because they don't fit him anymore, and I'm tired of looking at them. So he took it upon himself, including that suitcase, to take it downstairs so we can get all of our clothes, our donations and everything, and just leave the whole thing by the clothing and shoe thing at my son's school.
Gotcha. No, I'm just asking, in the past, like, have you ever zipped him up in anything, jokingly or not? But obviously, no. I understand, you're claiming that Sunday it was a joking matter. You were laughing, he was laughing. But what I'm just asking is in the past, like, is it something that you guys normally do?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
We were actually this last game running out of places to hide because we have a townhome where it's upstairs or downstairs. So.
Okay, so do you remember making any videos or maybe having any photos, videos that you remember doing on your phone on Sunday?
No.
No?
I think I took a picture of a dog.
Okay. Okay, so he doesn't know the password and he doesn't have the facial recognition.
No,
But he is the only other person that would use your phone, I'm
Yes.
assuming, other than.
well, Lucas.
Right. But Lucas wasn't there Sunday. And, right. So, to your recollection, no videos on Sunday?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So I have something that I want to show you that we found.
Oh, here we go.
And
Here we go.
It was
Here
from
we
your
go.
phone.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Can you see it?
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah.
Stupid.
Sarah.
That's my name. Don't wear it up.
Sarah. I can't breathe. Seriously.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
Sarah. 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 Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
That's on you.
Sarah, I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Sarah.
Real or ransom. I want to get video for it extra. Because I got this.
Sarah.
Real or ransom.
Sarah. Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
Oh. That's what I feel like when you ching on me.
Sarah. Please, Sarah.
Yeah. You should probably shut up.
Sarah.
Shh.
Now it's flipped the other way.
Sarah. No, I don't remember that.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Your battery's about to die.
Shutting down.
Oh. Okay.
Let me.
The battery doesn't last very long.
It used to last a lot longer than that. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
The battery is a diversion, right? Like pointing out the battery is, it's a way for her to change the conversation or not have to deal with it. But I mean, the first thing she says is, I don't remember that. So she's not unexpectedly, she's in denial about what she's watching right away. And then she jumps to the battery issue, which maybe it was low, but she's clearly not responding to what she's seeing. She's trying to divert attention to the battery as if somehow that's going to take away or detract from what's in front of her.
What she's about to see, yeah. Not a great time for a
Look on
battery
your
to die.
face, when she asked you if you've ever done that before, you look kind of shocked and,
No.
okay, but why did you say it like that? Like,
I don't think you all understand who I am, where,
well, tell me.
I mean, I've always been a straight A student. I am an outstanding mother to my son. I excel at everything. I would not do that.
You wouldn't lock somebody in a suitcase?
Well, I didn't like completely lock it. I mean, I opened it with one finger. I left enough in there for him to get out.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is starting to get to the heart of what's going on here, I think, which is, well, let me just repeat what she said. You don't understand who I am. It's so critical in understanding this, I think, because I've talked about this before. I've talked about the idea of self-verification theory. It's a theory by William Swan. the basic premise behind self-verification theory is that we develop certain self-views when we're younger, and then we do all we can to maintain those views. In other words, we seek to be consistent and coherent in the views we have of ourselves. Even to the point where we'll engage in destructive behavior to confirm those self-views. Because if human beings deviate too much from how they see themselves, then people start to feel fragmented. They start to feel like they're someone they don't know. And that's essentially what Sarah is saying here. She's saying, I am not the kind of person that would engage in this type of behavior. I'm a straight A student. I'm a wonderful mother. I excel at everything I do. So you guys don't understand. I could not have done this because this isn't consistent with my self-view. In other words, she's trying to self-verify, and she's trying to convince, I'm sure she's going to try to convince them that because this isn't the type of person, she's not the type of person that would do this kind of thing, that she could not have done it. So think of self-verification theory as a version of cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when you have conflicting beliefs about something or conflicting perceptions about something, and it creates a lot of anxiety. So in order to resolve that, so typically, let's say in this particular instance, the dissonance is that there's a murder, or there's someone who's her significant other is deceased, and she knows that that's a fact. There's evidence of that. She's seen it on the screen, and yet she doesn't have that belief about herself. She doesn't have that view about herself, and so you get this turmoil. You get this anxiety that she has to resolve because of that dissonance. And for her, she's going to deny the evidence or the facts in order to maintain the belief or maintain the self-view that she's someone who couldn't have done this, and therefore it didn't happen, that the police have it all wrong. Because someone like Sarah Boone, who excels at everything, isn't capable of doing something like this. And so a lot of times in cognitive dissonance or self-verification, where you're trying to verify a view of yourself, you either have to deny the evidence to maintain the belief, or you have to change your self-belief. You have to change your view. You have to amend or update your view of yourself to someone who could have done something horrendous. And you have to accept that in order to kind of expand your view of yourself. And she's incapable of that. And so I think what's interesting here is, it's also interesting that she says, I excel at everything, right? Like, excelling at everything doesn't mean that you're not capable of committing murder. Not that she's going to acknowledge that, but if you think of a guy like Oscar Pistorius, who was an Olympic athlete, who murdered his girlfriend in cold blood behind a bathroom door, he excelled at everything. Doesn't mean he didn't commit murder. He did. So that's interesting too, that somehow she has this perception that straight A students and people that excel at everything are not capable of committing murder, or they can't do something like this. This is where self-verification theory is so powerful, because that they'll create these fabrications about what happened, or they'll resort to kind of these fantastic explanations in order to continue to see themselves in a particular way. And for Sarah, that is to see herself as this, right, this moral, wonderful mother, this morally upright human being. That's all she's doing, is she's trying to help her boyfriend become a better human being. And how can you falter for that? Right. And so that's the underlying conflict here.
I also thought the cognitive dissonance mention was interesting, because you said two conflicting views, because conflicting views happen all the time, but two conflicting views that create anxiety. She's certainly feeling anxiety right now, as she knows she's about to watch a video that's going to conflict with her views of herself.
Right. And she's desperate to convince, like, more than anything. And we saw this in the body cam footage. There's this desperation to have the detectives believe her. Don't you see my point of view? She almost wants to grab them and say, you guys know I didn't do this. I am not someone capable of doing this.
Yeah.
Like, just agree with me, right? She keeps like, agree with me, agree with me, agree with me. I mean, there's this kind of almost desperate desire to control the narrative and to convince them that because she's not the kind of person that could do this, she didn't do it, and this didn't happen, and what you're seeing isn't real.
No, it's just the way you said it.
You guys
were
are scaring me.
Why?
Well, we just want you to watch this. It came from your phone. Don't you want to know what's on it?
Yes, please.
They're scaring her because they're going to show her a version of herself that she does not want to acknowledge.
Okay.
Is it long? Because I don't know how much I can take.
No.
Right,
Well,
there you go.
There you go.
I don't
That's-
know how much I can take.
So not seeing her, it's not about seeing her boyfriend in the suitcase that she can't take. It's the view of herself.
Right. Apparently she has no problems with the suffering
have
that
to
her
watch
boyfriend's experiencing.
I continuously throw up. I don't sleep. I don't want to see it, if that's okay.
Reminds me of Lori Vallow Daybell saying she refuses to see the crime scene photos of the children.
It's cognitive dissonance. Like, I
It's
don't want to see
dissonance.
this the view of myself.
I don't want to deal with the reality of what you're going to confront me with. I don't want to see the evidence because that conflicts with my self views, and it conflicts with how I see myself as this wonderful human being.
Mm.
So don't show me that.
It's that long?
2 minutes.
No.
For everything you've done to me. For everything you've done to me.
Oh.
Fuck you.
And
Fuck you.
that's you, your voice.
Stupid. That's my name. Don't wear it up. Yeah, that's when you do it. You choke me.
I don't want to watch it, please.
Last time we talked to you, you had said that you
You-
put him in the suitcase, he had 2 fingers hanging out. And you
I
went to
flipped him
bed.
over. I flipped him over, and that's where it was.
And there's 2 different videos and a still picture where, yeah, it shows you flipping him in different positions and him saying that he can't breathe and you saying, fuck
So
you.
this is upside down. So in order for him to have gotten into it,
It was flipped up.
right, it was flipped up normal.
Yes.
Like as if you're packing something. So this is upside down.
Guys, this is killing me right now.
So this image is upside down, and then
This is killing me. Not look at how much he's suffering. You know,
Not I'm killing
there's-
him. Not I'm killing him. This is killing me.
Right. There's a sadistic component here. She taunts him. He can't breathe. Like this is to me, this is like watching Edgar. This is like reading Edgar Allan Poe about someone being buried alive. Like this is right out of Poe. And you know, Poe, I love Edgar Allan Poe, by the way. Poe is like, you know, like the ultimate purveyor of our worst nightmares.
Yeah.
And this is like that. This is like our worst nightmare, being buried alive. This is like being buried alive in an Edgar Allan Poe story. And there's
can't
no way
watch
out
it.
of this thing. And not only is there no way out, but I mean, it's worse than being buried alive in the sense that he's crying for help, right? Like when you bury someone alive, you can't hear them. In Poe, you can't hear them scream. I mean, they do, but like here, you can hear it.
And she's laughing and taunting him.
Yeah, and so there is this sadistic component, which makes it even more horrendous.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to.
And she says, "This is killing me." Like what? It's killing her in the sense that, again, getting back to self-verification in the sense that she doesn't want these people to see her in this way. This conflicts with her self-view and her self-perceptions about how wonderful she is, not how she harmed another human being.
There, it's flipped over the other way, closer to your dining room table.
Okay.
Now he's obviously still in there. So he didn't, how did it go from the back to the front?
I flipped it.
Okay.
My plan was not to go upstairs and go to sleep,
Well, that's what you did.
Yeah.
but not intentional.
No, you told me you went upstairs because
What?
you were
Stop
getting
here.
ready for bed.
Stopped here.
Okay, but
Where's here?
show me where you can see any fingers coming out, because there's the end.
It's, and his head's right here.
Mm-hmm.
So going like this, rather than going all the way up, it's like this.
But why is he saying I can't breathe, and why is he pushing on it as if he can't get out?
And it doesn't show a hole.
There's no hole. There's no fingers. I don't see his fingers. There's no hole.
I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, I don't know, like, what you want me to tell you.
I'm just showing you. I'm just telling you what we see and what we've heard from the
I
other video.
understand. I understand.
He's begging for you to let him out. You sound, you're laughing
Tell
in the
them
beginning,
that
and then
you're
in the end, it sounds
responsible.
kind of like a.
No, it's not malicious.
Right.
Well, saying fuck you,
It's not malicious.
then what is that?
What does fuck you mean to you?
Well,
Like if I were to tell my
oh, like he
partner.
does. Like, I get called everything but a white woman, so
Okay.
my intention was not to leave him in there. Please understand that. My intention was not to leave him in there.
Then why weren't you
went
letting him
upstairs
out?
Thinking that he could get himself
Yes.
out, but the video shows.
That's why I
at no
told
point
you.
can I see his fingers.
He'll
and
be
it
up here any
looks like-
minute.
And then 30 minutes later, he didn't show.
And he's telling you
And I
he
didn't
can't
wake
breathe.
up.
Do you
He's
think
not
he's
able to get out.
joking? You told me he was laughing, and I.
We were
The
before.
video, there's no
When he first got
laughing.
in there, both of us were.
So how long was he in there for? Like, this video is at 11:12 when it starts, so was he in there for like a long time prior to
No.
recording this?
No. No.
So this is what absolute denial looks like, and this is what dissonance looks like at the highest level. That when you confront someone with the reality of something and they can't absorb it, then this is what it looks like.
Yeah. I've seen this.
I didn't intend to do it. Well, you're taunting him, and you went upstairs to sleep without letting him out. You knew he was in there. She can't resolve it. So she's also blaming him, right? She's saying, well, he could have gotten out. I left a little bit unzipped. He should have been able to pry himself free.
Yeah, her reality is now. So in other words, it's not just a lie she's created. It's like really her reality. I am not this person. I can't explain this away. It's sort of like facts aren't feelings, but she's like, I don't care what fact you're showing to me. This isn't.
Doesn't matter. I would never do this, and therefore I didn't do it. I think any rational, empathic human being that sees this video would be horrified. It's beyond belief, right? And yet she wants to defend herself. She wants to argue that what you're seeing isn't real.
Well,
She
and
wants
she's
to
refusing to see it. Right.
Right. She wants to convince the detectives that this wasn't her, that he could have gotten out, right? She's looking for all the excuses she can find. The reason why self-verification theory is so powerful, by the way, is because unlike cognitive dissonance, which occurs at a much more micro level, self-verification theory occurs at a much higher level of magnitude in terms of understanding why human beings do what they do, and it occurs at the level of self. So by placing dissonance at the level of identity, I think Swan really captured something important, which is that human beings are most concerned about how they appear to other people, how we appear to other people.
That he was like panicky. Like,
So pushing up on a suitcase saying, Sarah, 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 I can't breathe.
George has done that in the past before too, where it's just like he thinks that he's woe is me kind of thing, where it's like I don't.
He's never been locked in a suitcase. That's where he couldn't get out. So
it's kind of. I thought it was
and
the
you know
boy
the oxygen
crying wolf kind of thing.
Okay.
And again, my plan.
But nowhere in there is he laughing. Is he joking? He is begging, and you're the only one laughing.
Okay.
And you're the only one saying derogatory comments, like you're mad.
No, please don't. I don't mean to sound negative, and I don't know if I can say this, but like it's like you guys are kind of trying to like feed me. Like,
no, I'm just trying to show you a video that you no longer want to watch because you probably don't want to know the outcome of how and what you said.
Well, I know what.
You know what's on that video now?
No.
You remember making that video?
Oh.
Why don't you remember making the video?
Probably because we had been drinking.
But you weren't drunk.
No. Just because I went upstairs and just because you're drunk doesn't mean that you.
Times that you were not drunk. You said that you had your wits about you. You said he had his wits about you.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you don't like not having your wits.
This is good interrogation technique.
If somebody cannot remember doing something to the extent of
right, by getting her to say she wasn't drunk, they really put her in a corner right here.
Yeah.
They are intoxicated.
Okay. I understand where you all are coming from.
Well, we're just trying to make sense of it. We're trying to figure out what you're saying.
We're trying to figure out.
So I she says, I understand where you all are coming from. Like this is some game.
Right, that there's
like
something to debate, that there's something like to, you know, discuss here.
Like she's in this game of, you know, chess with these people. Like there's one video with seemingly one interpretation of that video, which is that he's locked in a suitcase and can't get out and needs help to survive. Right? It's not that complicated. This isn't some game of chess where she has to understand where they're coming from.
We're playing, and then like I thought it was. My plan was not to go upstairs and go to sleep. My plan was not to. He'll be up here any minute.
But you willingly went upstairs and went to sleep. No one forced you to go upstairs and get
My
ready
plan
for
wasn't
bed.
also to leave him in the suitcase.
So why didn't you take him out?
Because I went upstairs and then I fell asleep.
But why didn't you consciously think he's asking to come out? He
I
can't
didn't do it intentionally.
What do you think is going to happen if you leave somebody in a confined space like that?
Well, I thought by not giving it up all the way, it would be okay. My plan was not to leave him in the
And
suitcase.
what was your plan?
Waiting for him to come upstairs.
And then when he did it?
I fell asleep.
You said you were up there 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, somebody not coming up.
Knowing that the last time you saw him was in the suitcase, 30 minutes later, you're like, maybe I should go check on him. Maybe I shouldn't.
No.
Well, that didn't cross your mind because
that's like an assumption. Like that's what you all are thinking.
Assumption.
We're asking.
It's the whole.
You tell us.
It's the drinking. That's what it is. It's the drinking.
Oh, so now
I
she's
thought it
drunk.
was
Now she
like-
is. Now she was
I
drunk.
thought he was okay. Like I
Now
didn't.
she is drunk,
that-
right?
You
He's
all.
telling you he's not. He's telling you, Sarah, I can't breathe. He's saying your name and you're like, that's my name, don't wear it out.
Guys, that's how we are with each other. Like nobody understands our relationship.
Clearly.
The whole suitcase thing never happened before.
Would you leave someone else in a suitcase? Would you leave Lucas in a suitcase jokingly? Because it was a
No.
joking matter. You put him in there jokingly. Would you leave Lucas jokingly in there? And you love Lucas, right? And you love
I wouldn't do
George.
that to him either. I wouldn't do that to him.
So I just.
Well, it's not like, again, I don't think you all understand. Like,
I mean,
that was not my intention.
Well,
Y'all don't have any idea what
by
I've
your
done for
acts,
him.
But by your
What
acts,
I've
and
done
that's
for
exactly
him.
right. You get to the point where you've done so much
Again,
for somebody and they
that's
don't show you any
self-verification.
appreciation.
He did.
Self-verification again when she says you have no idea how much I've done for him.
No, right. That I'm a wonderful person. I'm just trying to help him. I didn't harm him.
You have no
But
idea
she
what
did
I've
harm
done.
him.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. She's trying to self-verify.
Not by your words in the video. I don't get that.
He did.
Because you bring up the fact that when he's choking you, you can't breathe. That's how you felt when he cheated on you. You couldn't breathe. And you verbally several times told him just fuck you.
Well, you said it in the video, but you won't let us play the rest of it 'cause you don't want to.
When I say cheating, it's on his phone.
Okay. Cheating is cheating.
I think so too.
Exactly.
It's your definition of cheating though, so I mean,
Yeah.
that's what the word cheat means.
And that's what you told him in the video. That I couldn't breathe when you cheated on me.
No.
That's how I felt when he said, Sarah, I can't breathe. And you told him,
I don't
fuck
know what
you.
you, this is.
What would you say if somebody told you that they had done this?
Done what?
Zipped somebody in a suitcase and went up and went to bed.
Do you all not think, so you all think that it's like, oh good, I got him in there, now I'm gonna go to sleep? Is that what you guys are trying to assume?
No, that's what you did.
Or trying to like,
Or just the video is
what you told us
very
you did.
portraying of the opposite of what you told us.
no.
It is not leading up, it is not matching what statement you gave us in the car.
So,
And that's why we want to know.
and I don't remember
injuries-
doing those.
The injuries are not consistent with what you told us. So we have a lot of inconsistencies, and this video explains itself. It really, truly does.
You don't think that I had thought about that?
Thought about the video or thought about?
But no, again, if you don't mind, please. So you all are assuming that it's like, oh, good, I got him in there, now I'm gonna go to sleep? Is that what you all are assuming?
Well, it's not an assumption when that's what you told us that
Can you
happened.
pause it?
And
Yeah.
the video,
I like that the detective, she goes, it's not an assumption when you told us that's what happened.
Right? Like, look, it's right in front of your face. There's limited interpretations you can give to this. So what assumptions are we making? Right?
Right.
Like, and this is where, by the way, well, first of all, let me just say this, like, when you're in an interrogation room and police read your rights, like it's never a good idea to continue at that point. Like, I mean, most criminals would be a lot better off. And I'm not trying to advocate for criminals here, but most criminals, the smarter criminals, understand that's the point where you bring a lawyer in, no matter what. Like, never make a statement, right? Because this is the type of thing that really gets people like Sarah Boone into trouble, that she's contradicted herself. If she had said earlier, there was a video after they had her phone that she got drunk, that he was put in the suitcase, she fully intended to get him out, but she passed out. She went upstairs, passed out, and didn't intend for that to happen, and that she was really sorry and apologetic, right? Like, there was a potential path here to maybe mitigate some of the damage, but she's not capable of taking that path because she can't resolve this dissonance. It would take a normal, healthy, reasonably, reasonably astute and human being who's capable of ingesting a certain degree of reality to do that, to take the path that would have lessened the damages here. But she can't do that.
what do you think someone that knows nothing about this or hears just a little bit like, oh, they were playing around in a suitcase
She's been drinking
and then watches
probably
that
went
video?
to sleep. That's what happened.
But you let him out before. I mean, you put him in, so why didn't you take him out?
Because I was upstairs and I fell asleep.
No, before you went upstairs. You like consciously had to walk upstairs. You obviously remember going to bed because you were able to give me a time frame on that. And you specifically told me that you went upstairs.
You tell us the last night, you vividly remember this when you told us last night, that he was laughing, you were laughing, you put him in the suitcase, he has two fingers sticking out, and you go to bed. Now we see something totally different, and it actually shows you upset and, again, using derogatory terms to him when he's begging for his life to get out of that suitcase.
So
what
but my thing
you
is
say
that
we're assuming, we're not assuming,
but
we're
the
telling you
fingers,
what's on there.
so it just happened to be that whenever I was videotaping or doing whatever else it was, just happened to not have that in it.
Okay. And you also, in the video, you can't see any holes. There's nowhere in that where the zipper separates and you can see a hole. If there's a hole, he's pushing on it, begging you to get out. We should probably see that hole.
He essentially would have been able to get out.
Huh.
Alcohol.
Based off what you're telling us, he should have been able to get out.
Okay.
But the video shows him attempting to get out, begging to get out, and he can't. So that's just what we're trying to figure out. I don't know if maybe you had too much to drink, you zipped it up all the way, and then, you know.
I did not zip it up all the way.
Okay, well.
I did not zip it up all the way. So I mean, I don't know what you all want me to tell you, because this was not in any way, shape, or form, hand on the Bible, intentional.
Okay. So you just left
I
him there
didn't
to
kill
teach
him.
You left him there to teach him a lesson?
I didn't mean to leave him there. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
You got up and walked away. How is that not intentionally leaving him there?
Because I'm looking at the hole, knowing that it's there. He'll get out no harm. Because you
And
don't.
then he doesn't, but you don't go check on him. You say you're up for 30 minutes and he doesn't come up. You don't go down and check on him?
I'm in the bed.
You even moved,
And dozed off.
you admit to moving the suitcase, like, over. So.
You roll it.
You roll it out, like, it's not like.
I didn't want it to be like that. Don't.
You didn't want him to be upside down? How do you even get upside down?
Right. You guys are killing me right now.
I just want you to hear.
That's how he talks to me most of the time.
So he talked to me, projection.
I don't know how you want me to say it.
I'm just trying to figure out what you would expect to happen to somebody when you leave them in a suitcase.
I didn't mean to leave him in there.
Okay.
What's your reasoning for not calling 911 sooner?
Because I didn't know what to do and how horrific it was. I called Ryan, and 5 minutes later I called you guys? Not even 5 minutes. Nonetheless, that I had to I was trying to do CPR. I had to get him out and try to do CPR. And then called you guys. And they was continually doing CPR with the dispatch on the phone, where he had me count out loud to help me focus on what I was doing.
She did do it allegedly on the 911 call.
Yeah, so she can't process this. It's again, the dissonance, it's too overwhelming for her. She just can't process it. This is what denial looks like. And I mean, it's not unbelievable that she didn't intend for this to happen, but I mean, she was right. There's a version of this where she's really inebriated and she passes out. She taunts him, looks really bad, but is it feasible that she doesn't remember any of it? She says she doesn't remember the video. If she remembered the video, she would have deleted it, right? Presumably. So it's hard to know, right? Like it's hard to know what her intent is. And I think that's going to be the essence of this case. You know, maybe there's a part of her that thought he would survive and that she would show the videos to him and say, look what I can do to you. If you try to harm me again, watch this. This is what I'm going to do to you. I'm going to hurt you. So I don't know. You know, there is a fine line here between intention or lack of intention, right? I mean, there's no question she did it, right? I don't think that's up for debate. But I think in terms of how to charge her and what to charge her with, that's less clear cut.
I didn't have any motivation. It was he and I having a great day, fooling around and being stupid, and apparently me going upstairs and hitting the bed, not going to sleep, where it's like, I'm tired now, I'm going to go to sleep.
That's excluding, that's a good analogy for the day, excluding the fact that he's got a bump on the back of his head, a bump on the front of his head, and his lip is busted. And he has a bump on his eye. I mean,
I don't know what you all want me to tell you. This is not fair at all.
Yes.
That you all are assuming that that's from me.
Where else did it come
If
from?
you were, say it's opposite, you were in the suitcase and you're asking to be let out, would you hope that that person would let you out? Like, you're asking to be let out of a suitcase, should they not let you out?
Eventually. I'm guessing. I mean, I'm blaming it on the wine.
Blaming it on the wine?
So you guys are like assuming that,
You keep saying we're assuming, or we're not, we
We're
haven't assumed
asking you
anything.
questions.
but you guys are assuming that that's what I did.
So now she's blaming it on the wine, and she still can't see the evidence. She's saying that they're assuming. Like, she just keeps repeating this.
I think you're going to get a version of this for a long time. I mean, they're going to keep confronting her, and she's going to deny. And the whole thing about this isn't fair is really interesting, because she really sees them in some ways as harassing her because she's this good person. Again, getting back to self-verification, she's this good person who would never do this, and she already told them that there were no bruises and no marks, and she had nothing to do with it. So stop bothering me. Like, just believe me, right? And they're not believing her, obviously, because the evidence doesn't suggest that. And I mean, a big part of what you're seeing here is this clash between how she perceives herself and the evidence that shows a different picture. And she's just not going to reconcile those two.
Happened. We got there. You said you pulled him out of a suitcase. You said you went up. You went to bed. We're not assuming that. These are the facts that you're telling us.
But
Now
what
we're
you said
asking
is
you
like,
to
oh, I'm
explain them.
tired. Oh, I'm tired.
Well, that's what you told me on a sworn recorded statement yesterday, because when I said, oh, you went upstairs and passed out, you were like, no, I did not pass out. You got attitude with me because you were
Yep.
thought I was assuming that you were drunk. So that's an assumption. That was an assumption when I said
Yeah.
you passed out. And guess what? You corrected me.
You were very adamant about the fact that both of you had your wits about you. What's your favorite word to use?
Compass mentis.
You've used it today too, to say that you guys were within your wits. There's two empty bottles of wine.
No, but we didn't drink both of them.
I think you did.
We didn't.
There's receipts for the
They were
same
both
exact day.
purchased yesterday, so I don't know how you didn't, because they weren't there the day before.
The one
There's two
was.
Publix receipts from yesterday.
Mhm.
Only thing purchased on either one was a single bottle of wine, 2 of them. So we have each bottle of wine that was empty in your garbage can that you purchased yesterday, or he purchased, but you two would have consumed together.
Okay, well,
I mean, there's receipts, so it's not even worth the going back.
So this is, so I don't know what you guys are, I don't know.
We were just hoping that we could figure out why you.
What was the motivation?
There was no motivation.
Well,
Well, we're watching a video that, after talking to you, everything was laughing and fun. Now we're watching a video where it's not laughing and fun. He's begging for his life, and you are in a very angry voice telling him to fuck off.
No.
Yes,
Not-
that's absolutely what it was. It's not an assumption. The video's there. We played it for you.
So you guys think that I intentionally,
You did.
It
You got
doesn't
up
matter
off
what
the
we-
couch
it doesn't
and
matter
walked
what
up
we
the couch,
think.
or walked up the stairs and got into bed. That was intentional. There's no way getting around that. You intentionally did that. Nobody drug you up there. You didn't float up the damn stairs.
okay, well, it's not fair. It's not fair that you guys keep trying to say that that's what I did.
I don't know what to tell you.
You told us that. You didn't go upstairs?
That was look, the detective, I think, is feeling like we are. Look what she
Right. She keeps coming back to this not fair. Like, she's the victim, like they're taunting her. I mean, he's dead.
Well, I think it's just crazy what she said. It's not fair that you guys are saying that I went back upstairs and just went to bed, and she is just looking absolutely exasperated right there, because that's how I'm feeling. Like, you told us that. Like,
Well,
It's-
she means this whole process isn't fair. They're not being fair to her. They're not believing her. She desperately wants them to believe her and stop. That's what she wants. And as for the motivation, I mean, clearly, look at the video. She's taunting the guy. She's sadistic. The motivation's simple. It's revenge.
Mm.
She's saying to him, basically, this is payback for everything you did to me. The reason she went upstairs without letting him out is because she's angry. She's hurt. She wants to get back at him.
What would you expect to happen to somebody when you leave them in a position?
I had no idea because I've never done it before.
Why have you never done it before?
Why would I?
Exactly.
Why would I
did
do
you?
it before?
Why did you do it now?
I clearly have said why. Why?
No, you don't know
Never-
why. You
never-
just know that it's not intentional, but you don't know why. But that's okay.
Really?
I'm not trying to force you to say something that you don't know.
Also,
Feeding
there's
and
an assumption.
pain.
There's an assumption here that I talk about this all the time, that most criminals don't know why they do what they do. Most criminals don't know their motivations. Most normal people don't know their motivations for behavior. So that takes some work to figure out the why. And I doubt she knows it. So it is a little unusual for the detectives to push her. I think what they're trying to get at here is whether there's some type of trigger. I think what they're trying to figure out here is whether there was some type of fight before that led to the shoulder being injured and the scratch marks, right? The presumption seems to be that there was some type of altercation or fight. She was angry. She wanted to get back at him. She put him in the suitcase. She zipped it all the way up. She taunted him sadistically, left him there to die. So I think what they're trying, so the motivation is clearly revenge. The question is, were there some triggers or events that led up to that revenge? I think that's what they want to know.
Well, right. And that would help to determine charges. There are no charges here. They don't know what they're going to charge her with. They're trying to figure it out. But I actually like what the detective said there. Like, we're not trying to push you to say what you don't know. As you point out, yeah, you always say that. You always ask a criminal why they did it, and their answer is usually, I don't know. And Sarah Boone is no different.
I asked them that at the very end. So in my evaluations, which are different than this, because I'm not brought in to get confessions, I'm brought in to assess risk. So in my evaluations, just as a diagnostic step, I want to see what self-knowledge they have. I want to see if they have any understanding of their motivations or of themselves. And so at the very end, after we talked about their childhoods and the complete history of everything they've gone through in their lives, I'll ask them, why do you think you did this? Because it gives me a sense of whether they're appropriate for therapy, whether they have any self-knowledge, right? There's a lot of things that accomplish this for me. And 98% of the time, criminals say, I just don't know why.
And you don't have to allow us to do it, just so you know. So don't think that
I don't have a problem.
Okay. Just make sure.
So, am I getting my phone back?
No.
Not today.
What about Lucas's laptop?
No.
Not today.
Not today.
What does that mean?
We're still going through everything.
Oh, that's fine.
You're the one just telling us there's videos that we need to see on it, so we need
That's
to do our
fine.
due diligence that we go through everything.
See, and that backfires on me now too, because now you all think that I had even more, in quotes, intent to do what I did to him, which was not intentional. So his probation officer,
Mm-hmm.
do you all inform her or do I need to call her?
Are you saying because he's still on probation?
No, but it's because of the nice lady that she is and all that she's done for him. I didn't know how it was.
Legally, we just have to tell his parents, and we don't go telling. We don't.
Everybody else?
I didn't even know who his probation officer was, so no, I wouldn't go tell.
So the same thing for classes. I need to do that too.
There's a bit of an obsessive component here that she's worried about the nitty-gritty of his life and who to talk to and how to manage his schedule, right? Like this gets back to the micromanaging element that I talked about earlier. But here you see it at the most granular level, right? That she's concerned about who to contact and how that's going to be done, right? There's a very obsessive element here. And also this idea that she's going to get her phone back. She knows what's on her phone. She knows her phone is evidence at this point. Like any normal human being would know that if you have evidence of a crime on your phone, you're not getting it back. She thinks they're going to give her phone back and be like, okay, we agree with you. You know, you're right. We made a lot of bad assumptions. You didn't mean to do this. Even though there's a dead body in a suitcase, you didn't mean to do this.
I just find it strange that she's trying to plan with police officers her life logistics. Like, what about his classes and his probation
Right.
officer? Like, who's going to tell her? I'm like, girl, like, this is on you. Like, you know, it's like she wants to talk about the right way that things are going to get done. Again, very controlling. Like,
Super
how do we
controlling.
go about with logistics? What's the right way to now move forward with these random, you know, who tells who what?
Again, there's this obsessive compulsive component to that. I think that this controlling element. I think you see that here more than throughout the interrogation, that this controlling element seems to maybe go to a different level here, that she wants to match. She's in an interrogation room, clearly on the cusp of being charged with murder. And she's worried about his schedule and the logistics of his life, right? Like,
And who's going to tell the probation officer, not because she needs to know, but just because she's a nice lady.
And getting her phone back. Like, again, there's this disconnect from reality here.
So, other than this, so initially, what was the cause of death?
She is still pending because she wants to hold the body for an additional day to see if more of those bruises turn into something bigger. And she's doing some other tests that she's got to do. So she's pending it for now.
So, and that couldn't have been because of him being in the suitcase? Or y'all are saying that I physically did it?
That's what she's determining.
So
the ones on the head, I asked her, could that have been from the suitcase, and she said she didn't think so.
I didn't touch him, nor did he touch me.
Okay.
I'm leaving it at that.
Okay.
So I don't know if you all know how to do this, because so that's what I was going to ask you. So are you all updating his parents today, or when you get final whatevers?
What does it matter? Why?
Yeah, why does it matter?
What we tell his parents? What do you mean?
Because
we're gonna talk with them.
Yeah.
okay,
I have to.
but it's going to come down to me.
What do you mean?
Like, so it's being put on me.
Who said that?
But I'm not. So what is it you would tell them?
We're gonna give them an update, just like we gave you an update on their autopsy.
Okay, so it's whatever bruise,
Here's the thing.
whatever on the head.
We had to deliver news to them last night that their son was dead. There's not a whole lot of conversation that goes on after that.
She's worried about her self-image. So some of this is self-verification, but it goes beyond that. I think there's clearly some narcissistic elements there, that she's so self-absorbed she can't think of the pain, right, and the suffering the parents are going to experience. They just lost their son. Her main concern isn't that their son is deceased. Her main concern is that it's going to be put on her, right? That's pretty out there, and it's super insensitive, and it shows how self-absorbed she is and how much empathy she lacks.
We met you yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm just asking. Right? Did we not meet yesterday?
It's a valid question.
Really? Yes, on Monday.
Okay.
Got it.
Perfect.
So I don't know if I ask you guys or how I find this out other than talking to his parents, which is not going to happen.
Yeah, probably a terrible idea.
How do you guys suggest me finding out about funeral?
Yeah.
That's not even something that's been probably talked about between the family. That's not something we ask. We have no way of.
I didn't know, that's why I'm asking. So.
It'll be up to them to make their arrangements of what they want to do. Like she just told you this quick, just being told last night, I'll pretty much be willing to wager that they have not even considered what they're going to do.
His body can't even be released, so.
I've been there with parents, grandparents, aunt and uncles. So I don't know if I have the right to or not, but like I was going to call his former employees whom he really cared for and let them know.
You can call whoever you want.
I just don't want to do something that I'm not supposed to.
This is fascinating to me. I have things to say.
When you're in an interrogation and you start asking questions and trying to take control of the room, that's interesting. You know, I've had a number of clients who show up for a first session of therapy, and they'll have a list, and they'll read the list, and they'll ask questions, and it's a way to be less vulnerable. It's a way to avoid the fears they have of therapy, the fears of being vulnerable in front of someone that they don't really feel like they know yet, right? You have a version of that here. I think she's you don't you rarely see this, by the way, that someone comes in an interrogation and towards the end they get out this list of questions and they start taking control of the interrogation, as if somehow, for her at least, as if somehow that's going to change the narrative or direct the detectives away from what's really important, right? And that's what she's trying to do. There seems to be a bit of a obsessive compulsive component. I don't mean the diagnosis. I just mean certain elements of trying to micromanage, trying to manage her anxiety, you know, she's having these thoughts. She's having a lot of thoughts about the entire situation, and it's creating anxiety. So in order to address that anxiety, she's creating lists and she's creating plans and she's bringing it in the interrogation. So it's her way of exerting control and I think trying to switch the narrative a little bit. But I think the thing she's wanted to hear from the detectives the whole time is, don't worry about it. You didn't intend to do that. We understand. You know, this was a mistake. You can go. Here's your phone. Head on your merry way home, right? Like that's what she's looking for. And she's not getting that. Oh, and she wants to hear, by the way, that she's a wonderful person and everyone loves her, right? That's in spite of what you did, Sarah, you're a wonderful human being and everyone loves you. Here's your phone. Head on home. Don't worry about it, right? That's what she wants to hear. Of course, that's not based in reality, so that's not going to happen. But this is an interesting moment in this interview because the list, you know, to drag out a list and not understand the gravity of the situation confronting you is, again, it's detached from reality. It's detached from what's going on in that room. What's going on in that room is that she's being accused and probably going to be charged soon with murder, and she doesn't grasp that.
How do I go about getting his wedding ring, engagement ring?
It's at the medical examiner's office. It'll come to us eventually, and then
it'll be released to
to
the next of kin.
Yeah. Okay.
I bought it for him.
Okay.
That is a civil issue. It was on his finger. It goes to them. They're the ones that are going to release it. We don't have any say in that.
So I won't get that back.
This is what she's worried about. She's worried about the wedding ring and not spending the rest of her life in prison.
But she bought it.
Right. Again, this is that detachment from reality that she does not understand what she's confronted with here.
May need to be done so I can, I guess, stick up for myself.
I mean, I think you're doing just fine. You came, you talked.
I just don't want you guys to, again, show up and Lucas is in the house.
Well, we did tell you yesterday that we don't want to do anything around your son, hence why you came to us. So I don't know why you think that's going to change.
That and or me not just show up back home.
I'm sorry, what? That or what?
Me just not show up back home. That's what, he's so happy that I'm staying over at the house with Brian, like so happy. And I'm not going back to the house, to my house, for however long I can stay over here because of whatever to blow over.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you don't mind me asking, so for whatever it is you all are claiming from the videos, which, yeah, is that what you're going to tell them, like his parents? It's like, oh yeah, and by the way, she did.
Did what?
I mean, what would you tell him?
I don't think it really matters what we're going to tell the parents.
Oh yeah, it is, it's fuel to the fire.
Well, we can't hide things, and I don't know, I'm not saying we're going to go, I'm not saying that we're going to go and tell them every single thing we have, but again...
She's minimizing the seriousness of her crime, and she's under the really mistaken impression that she has some control here. She doesn't have control. It's absurd. Again, a normal person would recognize that at this point, she's fighting for her life. But she doesn't. She sees this as being trivial. So, and again, that speaks to how self-absorbed she is. She only sees how this is going to affect her. She doesn't see how this has had a negative repercussion, how this has had negative repercussions for all the victims, for his family, for her child, right? Like,
Yeah, and again, I just have to say, I see like an obsessive compulsive though, like trying to control how this is going
Right.
to play out after she leaves. Like, yes,
obsessive
self-absorbed, but
compulsive isn't necessarily about control. It can be.
well, okay, I guess I'm just trying to you're right, and I don't understand what's going on, but I have seen this in somebody, and is it wanting? I don't know. We can talk about it later, maybe. It's driving me crazy.
She's under the assumption that she has much more influence in this situation than she does. And again, the problem is she's misreading reality. She's misreading. She's not reading the room. She's not reading the gravity of the charges and the situation because she's so self-absorbed.
This is the Orange County Sheriff's Office, that's public record, so eventually, like, this all will come out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not, you're making it sound like we're going to tell them something, so then your life is in danger, and I don't like that accusation.
No.
So, let's just nip that in the butt right now.
Well, that's what's going to happen.
I cannot
What are we going to tell them?
But we can't even, so technically there's no concrete report yet, even.
Right, so
it's,
you want me to, like, tell you exactly what I'm going to tell them? I don't know what I'm going to tell them. I don't know what I'm going to tell them. Let's just leave it at that. Just like you don't know why you went upstairs. I don't know what I'm going to tell them.
So,
Parents that are dealing with
can I call you the way that I did last time?
Yeah, my phone is an open line. Missy should be here. I don't know what's taking so long.
Well, it's coming out for looking through.
I get it. Look, I get it. That looks really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what scares me. Like, what do I need to plan on? Like, what do I need to plan on? I promise you, on my son's life, it was not intentional. I promise you, on Lucas's life, it was not intentional.
Wow. So she started from promising on the Bible, and now she's swearing on her son's life. Sorry, I'll keep playing. That was a wow moment for me.
I don't know you. I can't say I know anything about you. I don't know what would be a true statement, what would not. I mean, if you're promising on your son's life, that's fine.
That's how much it means.
Sorry.
That's how much it, look, that's how much it means.
Okay.
I hope you take that to heart. Please.
And it's documented that you said that, yeah. I get it.
Do you have any idea when I can get my phone back?
No telling.
What did you say?
I just said no telling. I mean, our digital forensics unit is got a lot of cases on their plate. I mean,
Well, and that's not
This is
technically my
mine.
laptop, it's Lucas's laptop.
Okay.
But he plays, you'll see all the games that he has on there.
as soon as we can get that back to Lucas, we will. As soon as we can release your phone, we will. But it doesn't, we have no way of being able to tell you because we don't have control over their caseload and how they arrange what they do. So I don't know. And at this point, I think, honestly, with everything else that's going on, that should probably be at the bottom of your list of worries.
That's
I'm trying to
exactly
think
what I
of getting
said.
his laptop back.
She's worried about her phone. She may never see the light of day again. She's worried about her phone. I mean, it's crazy. Like she doesn't, again, she's divorced from reality. She doesn't understand what's in front of her and how serious it is, and self-absorption.
So you will keep me posted, like updated.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing, is I'm trying to figure out what I need to do in the meantime.
I don't know, I can't, like, I don't know what to tell you, though. Like, what,
But you all have more information than I do, where it's, yeah, you might want to, or yeah, you might want to.
I'm sorry, what?
like, we have more information on what?
Like,
We told you everything that we have. You know everything that we know.
She's saying, tell me what to do so all this can disappear. If I'm a good little girl and I do what you say, and I just want you to believe me so all this can disappear. I mean, it's crazy. Just to sit in an interrogation room and say, tell me what to do, and ask questions about logistics for her deceased boyfriend's family. I mean,
That's what I'm trying to say.
As the detective pointed out, like, how does that concern you?
That's what I'm trying to say. That's what's bothering me here. Yeah.
So, you're not free to go, okay? Oh, do you promise everything you told us was the truth? Or no? Everything we've talked about today?
yes? What do you mean?
He asked to swear. Remember how I swore you yesterday on the audio recording? I just forgot, so he raised his hand to remind me, to tell you.
Okay.
Do you promise and swear that everything we talked about today has been true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
For which
True
everything?
and accurate to the best of your knowledge.
What, that it wasn't intentional?
Everything you've said
you told
today, everything that's come out of your mouth has been true and accurate to the best of your knowledge.
To the best of my knowledge.
Correct. Yes.
Why?
Because
That's how
anytime
you
we talk
swear.
to somebody, we want to assure that everything that we've talked about is,
True and accurate to the best of that person's knowledge.
it's not a trick question,
To the best of my knowledge?
to the best of your knowledge.
Everything that you've told us today is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge.
Yes, but it was not intentional.
Okay. Okay.
All right, do me a favor, stand up. I need you to turn around, face the wall, put your hands behind your back. Do you have anything in your pockets that I should know about?
No.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I did not make it
Why
to
is
this.
this happening?
Because George is dead.
Not intentionally.
We understand that.
He's still dead.
Well, we don't
Someone
really
needs to
understand
call Brian, please.
that. Okay.
Or can I not make the phone call?
You'll be able to make a phone call when we get you down to the jail.
So
You'll
why
be
is this
afforded-
happening? So this was a trick.
No, it's not
No,
a trick.
not
How
a
was it a
trick.
trick? I came in here to ask you to explain a few things to us, and
You were read your rights.
your response to everything was basically, I didn't do it.
Intentionally.
I have to go through that.
Doesn't matter. It's still there. Do me a favor. Have a seat.
Really, guys?
Really.
So if I didn't show up? Why is
You're
this
trying-
happening?
Because
Before y'all said I could leave,
when
that I was done after this, after that.
we were done, yes, we were done. Absolutely.
So now, so that's what it is,
We are done.
right? Not intentional.
Okay.
So what am I supposed to do now?
You will,
Someone needs to call Brian.
okay.
Lucas is waiting for Mom to come home. This was not my intention. I thought I was waiting for you all to come and figure out what's what and how many.
That's what we're trying to do.
And I was going to be able to go home and see Lucas. Now he's just not going to have me come home. So there's nothing that I can do.
All right, no.
There's nothing that I can do in order to go home and see Lucas and prepare.
Not right now, no. You'll be afforded a time in court. You'll be afforded an attorney. You'll be afforded a chance to talk to a judge, and all that stuff will be worked out.
But what's the time frame for that, though?
I have no way of being able to tell you. You should make first appearance probably like tomorrow morning, if not tonight, depending how things are busy, how quickly you get down there. I
had a
don't
sneaky
work in the.
suspicion this was going to happen. And I need water, like, really bad, please.
How's she?
You all check me down here.
Absolutely did not.
I mean,
This is amazing. This is shocking. By
I
amazing, I mean
just got
shocking.
those.
Okay. They are not allowed in the jail.
So I can't even smoke cigarettes as I go.
So I can't even smoke a cigarette in the jail.
What made you all decide to do this?
Made us decide to do this.
Uh-huh.
George is dead.
You guys, I knew this was going to happen.
You did? Okay.
So I
Well,
came down
we
here
did.
willingly.
Yes, absolutely.
I knew this was going to happen, so I came
We
down
were trying to
willingly.
figure out what's going on. We're still trying to figure out what's going on.
Unintentionally.
Well, intentional or not, George is dead.
so yeah, final
twist.
thoughts.
Yeah.
The ending is consistent with everything else. That she's detached from reality. She can't grasp the magnitude of what's occurring. That's why she keeps saying, "What's happening to me?" I mean, she feels like she was in control of the interrogation for a lot of it, even though they're playing this damning video, which is indisputable. She doesn't think that's apparently she doesn't think that's going to matter if she says it wasn't intentional. She changes her story, by the way, too, from when, saying there's no video and she left the suitcase open, right? That things changed. But I think the other interesting thing was the panic attacks definitely indicate that there's issues with anxiety. That's no surprise. I talked about that earlier. Clearly, she's very anxious. Dissonance will create anxiety. And so one of the ways to resolve that anxiety is to deny something, the evidence, or to deny the reality of a situation, which is what she does to try to reduce that dissonance. I think she apparently she realistically thought she would walk out of there with her phone. And, there's definitely this obsessive compulsive component of trying to manage the details and logistics and her medication in her car and all these elements in the outside world.
And
that
the
she still
engagement ring.
These elements of her life that she thinks are still relevant, even though, as the detective points out, George is dead. George is dead, so you're not walking out of here. And the courts and the judicial system will have to sort out what that means. But obviously, when you put someone in a suitcase, no matter how drunk you are, and you taunt them, and they die, there's a crime. And the judicial system has to figure out what to do with that. So, but she doesn't grasp any of that. She shows very little empathy, as I pointed out repeatedly. She shows almost no empathy for the family, for George's family, for George himself, for the suffering George experienced. It's all about her and how it's going to affect her. She's very self-absorbed. I guess I'm a little hesitant to use the term narcissism because that's associated with the diagnosis, but clearly there seems to be some narcissistic components here, in terms of she can't get outside of her perspective.
This interrogation now has been years, and her trial is currently in jury selection, and she is facing a minimum of 22 and a half years in prison after this trial. And she was just offered a plea deal where she could actually do 15 years. you know, involuntary manslaughter. And she rejected it. What does that mean?
Well, it's consistent with everything you see in this interrogation video that I'm sure she's clinging to the idea. And we saw this in one of the letters she wrote, by the way, where she says in all caps, "I am not a murderer," right? Like, it goes back to self-verification. She doesn't see herself as someone who would commit murder in any way, shape, or form. Therefore, she's not a murderer. Therefore, she did not do this. The fact that she's gone through, I don't know how many lawyers, right? She's gone through a ton of
8.
lawyers. She's gone through eight attorneys. Like, they're all having the same problem, I'm sure, with her, which is that she just, at some fundamental level, she doesn't acknowledge the reality of the situation. And,
Yeah.
you know, obviously she has to be a very difficult client for any attorney, in the sense that she doesn't listen, she's self-absorbed, she has her own theory of the case, which she thinks is true no matter what. That even though
Not
she's contradicted
intentional.
herself,
Yeah.
right, even though she's contradicted herself a number of times, and you know, and the issue of intentionality is a big one, and it's important, and it's not totally clear cut, by the way. But the problem is that she presented herself as not being drunk, and then the video shows she is, and, like, I don't know, it's hard to sort out. And so I think that's why we have a judicial process, and she's going to go through it. And 15 years, by the way, you know, in most cases, if she's a decent inmate, she'll get some good time, and she could reduce that by half. So, and I
No,
don't know
that
how
was
much
if she
time.
took that was if she took the plea deal, that she would
That's
get
what I
15
mean.
years.
I'm just thinking through the plea deal, whether that's a
Yeah.
good deal. She'd get half of that, and then I don't know how much time has she served. She served some time already,
4
right?
years.
So
4 years.
So a plea deal, best case scenario, plea deal means she could do like 3 more years, maybe 4, depending. Like, I mean, which is reasonable under the circumstances, but again, it shows you the degree to which she's entrenched in her denial. It shows you the degree to which she won't budge from this perception that she could have harmed her ex-boyfriend or her, you know, her partner. And
Yeah, her
she's
then
just
boyfriend.
she's not going to change that. And it's evidence of this idea of self-verification and how powerful it is, and how people will cling to these fantasies or these unrealities about the world, even if it hurts them. It's not new. It's just, I think what's different here is the degree to which she's so invested in this fantasy about herself, and she's so, in spite of this video, she just can't relinquish this idea that she could never do something like this, because she did. Right? Like,
Because
intentional or not, she did it, and it certainly doesn't look good. It's not going to look good in court in front of a jury when she's taunting someone who's still alive in a suitcase and crying out for help.
And the control issue. Again, I've never seen someone, I guess that would be a lot of things. Anxiety, obsessiveness, being self-absorbed. But this,
Probably there's some developmental issues in there. Yeah, there's a lot in terms of control. Control is a defense mechanism oftentimes that has to do with protecting our self-image, avoiding shame, avoiding anxiety. There's a lot of things.
yeah. And developmentally, yeah. Swearing on your Bible, swearing on your best friend, swearing on your child. That
Right.
was interesting too. I remember swearing on things when I was, in elementary school. I swear, pinky swear.
It's magical thinking, right? Like, it's thinking that if I just swear on this, you're going to let me go. You're going to believe me. You're going to release me from my agony. And it's magical thinking. It's not real. It's like a child creating some fantasy about something so that they don't have to deal with whatever the reality is. And that's what she's doing there.
All right. Well, thank you. We will certainly be watching the trial and ongoing trial. And then for those of you that are on Patreon, patreon.com/true crime and support us there, we will be doing an additional analysis of Sierra Boone. We are going to go over what John noticed in the body cam footage in February of 2020, the day that she called 911 and police arrived to the scene. Thank you, everyone, so much for being here. And until next time.
All right. Take care. Thanks for
We'll see ya.
joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.